InfoHub recap for the week July 8 to 12. CCJ cannot determine date for elections. Government and opposition representatives continue joint talks, and Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu provides clarification regarding the government's proposed amendment to the Narcotic Act. Stay with us as we take a look at these and other major stories which made headlines this week.
The future of Guyana has never looked better. Our nation is on the cusp of a development program like never seen before. While Guyana is now emerging as an energy giant through the discovery of massive reserves of oil and natural gas, it is your government's intention that the huge benefits emerging from this will go where it matters most, to you, the people of this beloved country. There is a surge of confidence in the way Guyana is governed once again, and the level of investor interest is unprecedented. Guyana is poised to become the breadbasket of the region, and the pace at which this nation will grow through prudent fiscal management will be nothing short of impressive. But more than anything else will be the way every Guyanese, regardless of color, class, or creed, becomes a part of this historic period of national transformation, sharing in the wealth and well-being of it all as one Guyana.
The Caribbean Court of Justice, in its post-judgment on Friday on the consequential orders, has determined that it is not within their purview to set a date for elections in Guyana.
It would not therefore be right for the court, by the issuance of coercive orders or detailed directives, to presume to instruct these bodies on how they must act and thereby preempt the performance by them of their constitutional responsibilities. It is not, for example, the role of the court to establish a date on or by which the elections must be held, or to lay down timelines and deadlines that, in principle, are the preserve of political actors guided by constitutional imperatives.
President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, Justice Adrian Saunders. Justice Saunders said it is duty of the constitutional actors to observe the rule of law in Guyana.
That is, the President and the Cabinet, the Parliament, and the Judiciary. All must be faithful to the spirit and letter of the Constitution and operate within the parameters given to each by the Constitution.
Reacting to the ruling handed down this afternoon by the CCJ, where attorneys at law Neil Boston and Robert Corbin,
I think the consequential orders were the right orders. It's a political issue, but one expects that the constitutional players who are supposed to move the constitutional provisional into line will act in accordance with the law.
The Caribbean Court of Justice is the highest court. They have made a very clear and precise judgment, and it's for the actors who have heard the judgment to act accordingly.
Felicia Valenzuela, InfoHub.
The CCJ has also urged that it is of the utmost importance that the GCOM chair is selected and appointed soonest.
The President and the Leader of the Opposition should, as soon as possible, embark upon and conclude the process of appointing a new GCOM chairman. This imperative is now of the utmost urgency in light of our decision in the no confidence motion cases that the motion was validly passed, thereby triggering the need for fresh general elections.
President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, Adrian Saunders. Noting the court's June 18 ruling, Justice Saunders then reiterated the steps for selection of a GCOM chairman. He said paragraph 26 to 29 specify that both the head of state and leader of the opposition together select an eligible candidate for the GCOM position. On June 18, the CCJ had ruled that the previous process used to select a GCOM chair was flawed and thus the appointment invalid.
The need to issue consequential orders and directions in this case has been rendered largely unnecessary because we understand that the GCOM chairman has voluntarily resigned his office since the delivery of our judgment on 18th June 2019.
Former GCOM chairman, retired Justice James Patterson, officially handed in his resignation on June 25th. Felicia Valenzuela, InfoHub.
President David Granger earlier in the week assured that the administration is committed to ensuring the conduct of credible elections at the earliest possible time. And to achieve this, the head of state said his government is fully implementing the decisions of the Caribbean Court of Justice and the early selection of the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission.
In order to achieve this, President Granger said his government will adhere to the rulings of the Caribbean Court of Justice in selecting a chairman for the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM. That is, to work along with the leader of the opposition to agree on 6 names that are acceptable to the president. To date, a list of nominees has been submitted by the leader of the opposition and a meeting held between the two sides. Government has also submitted a list of 8 nominees.
The government side is adhering to the ruling of the Caribbean Court of Justice and to the agreement with the leader of the opposition. The government side remains committed to continuing the dialogue and concluding the selection process within days to enable the Election Commission to function. Once done, Guyanese can expect credible elections in the shortest possible time.
President Granger noted that a date for elections can only be announced when the chairman is sworn in and advises him on GECOM's readiness to hold elections.
The President, acting on the advice of the Elections Commission that it is ready to conduct elections, will proclaim a date for those elections. This necessitates the chairman of the Election Commission being in place as early as possible.
Isaiah Braffett for InfoHub.
Still on the matter of the GECOM chairman, representatives of the government and the opposition met for the 3rd set of joint talks. However, they are yet to agree on nominees for a GECOM chair, and President Granger and the leader of the opposition are to meet and consider 13 names.
Representatives of the coalition government and the parliamentary opposition met on July 11 to continue the search for a chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission. Director General of the Ministry of the Presidency, Joseph Harmon, revealed that President Granger's 8 nominees, plus 5 of those submitted by opposition leader Bart Jagdeo, have been shortlisted.
The representatives of the president and the leader of the opposition had gotten to a point where they believed that our 2 principals should meet. That is the president and the leader of the opposition, and that for their consideration will be the 13 names that have been shortlisted.
Minister of Public Security, Kemrat Ramchitan, explained that the meeting was intended to narrow down the list of all names selected. Additional names, he said, were to be provided by the opposition who failed to do so. The minister said that the opposition team also refused to consider the 8 names proffered by the president.
It is not being with good faith negotiating if when you do it in relation to their 11 names, that we cannot do it. That is not being consensualist. They are being very unilateralist. Literally, they are dismissing the 8 names, stating that we don't have to say whether that should be narrowed down further, so that with that narrowed down from the 8, let's say 4 or whatever it is, they will now have 5 and 4, and then we could probably leave that with the president and the leader of the opposition to then work out their 6 from that.
The minister took umbrage to the opposition team's claims that they needed to verify whether the list submitted by President Granger found favor with him. President Granger
was obviously names that came from us, and there must have been, to a certain extent, names that should be shortlisted. That is not acting in good faith. It is not acting like the consensualist, with the consensualist approach that the leader, that the CCJ talk about. That's all I wish to say.
President Granger and the opposition leader will meet next to determine the way forward. Paul McAdam for InfoHub.
Prime Minister Nagamutu has provided clarification regarding the government's proposed amendment to the Narcotic Act, which could see the removal of custodial sentencing for 30 grams or less of marijuana. The Prime Minister explained that the proposed amendment has been submitted to the National Assembly and could be allowed for debate at the next sitting.
So that proposed amendment has been submitted to the National Assembly, and we are hoping that it will be placed on the notice paper so that it could be approved, debated and approved at the next possible sitting of the National Assembly.
The Honorable Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu. Only recently, Cabinet made a major decision when they approved the proposal to remove custodial sentences for 30 grams or less of marijuana. community work, or referral to the drug treatment court are some of the alternatives that could be handed down to persons found with 30 grams or less of marijuana. The issue of young people in prison and overcrowding, the Prime Minister said, remains a national problem. The government, he opined, has been working with the judiciary to find alternatives to persons found with small amounts of the substance. Minister of Public Security, the Honorable Kemraj Ramjatan, said the amendment to the Act is one that has the support of both the opposition and young people.
It is an amendment that has the support of the opposition. So even though the opposition might not be there, I'm certain that the opposition will support it. The opposition might very well say, oh, it's a political exercise because they know that lots of young people out there are going to support it. But if young people are supporting it and the opposition has no good grounds for opposing it, why not allow it?
However, Minister Ramjatan is warning persons that possession of marijuana is still a crime even after the amendment is made. Isaiah Prophet for InfoHub.
In news on the economy, following what has been described as a successful year, Director of the Financial Intelligence Unit, Matthew Langevin, handed over the unit's annual reports to Finance Minister, the Honorable Winston Jordan.
Giving a summary, FIU's Director Matthew Langevin said the report, which also contains the agency's certified 2018 financial statements by the Auditor General's Office, provides a summary of activities conducted.
It strives to execute its mandate of working with all local and international stakeholders in protecting the integrity of the local and international financial system from money launderers and those trying to use our system to finance terrorism and proliferation.
The FIU has signed memorandums of understanding with 10 regional counterparts. This has resulted in the sharing of information for the investigation of several money laundering cases. Increased training and outreach sessions were conducted to raise awareness of the agency's activities. MOUs were lately signed with FIU counterparts in Barbados and Jamaica.
We were able to use these MOUs in a couple of money laundering investigations already, so the importance of these MOUs are being seen and the benefits are being realized. We now have MOUs with approximately 10 FIUs in the region, and these MOUs are even more important as we continue to strive towards having Guyana accepted as a member of the Egmont Group of International FIUs.
Finance Minister Winston Jordan, describing the report as the first of its kind received by him, said it attests to the coalition government's push to increase transparency and accountability.
Since our entry into office, we have produced reports as required by law and reports that are not even required by law. Even as we speak, we are working on the half-year report, or mid-year report, as some of you would like to call it. And as you know, we have an unenviable record of getting that report into the National Assembly before it goes into recess, even though the law requires us to have it available by the 28th of August of each year.
The reports will be laid before the National Assembly and made available via the internet for public perusal. Paul McAdam for InfoHub.
And in better economic news, the government is continuing to ensure that a good life is provided to all Guyanese as pay and allowances increases are once again on the cards for public servants. Minister of Finance, the Honorable Winston Jordan, made this disclosure recently.
They can look forward again this year to a salary increase. We are already in negotiations with the teachers. The President has set up a high-level committee on public service to look into particularly the wage and allowances of public servants, so to speak. So we are hoping that that can be concluded in time for the figures to get into the next budget.
Minister of Finance Winston Jordan explained that annually, the government has attempted to push salaries to a comfortable level for public servants. However, he noted that the coalition administration inherited a significant lot.
40 billion for Gaisuku, plus another 30 that we went to for a bond, almost 6 billion for Clico, another 4 billion almost for the Marriott Hotel, all these multi-billion-dollar judgments inherited from the PPP. It has not been an easy road for this young government.
He added that the coalition government is proud of its record of all-round development.
Given the limitation of the resources that we have had, we are proud of our record of human resource development, over 1,500 scholarships that have been given to all kinds of people in all kinds of sectors and so on. We are proud of those achievements, and our people can look forward to improved benefits, whether they be in the social sector, educational sector, and at the personal level as we go into 2020.
The $300.7 billion budget for 2019 was presented on November 26, 2018, before the start of the fiscal year. It marked an increase of 12.6% over 2018's budget. Natisha Isaacs for InfoHub.
On the infrastructure front, Maikoni farmers are relieved following swift action by the Ministry of Public Infrastructure to employ corrective measures following a breach of the earthen embankment. DPI accompanied a team from the ministry on Tuesday as they conducted assessments of the affected areas.
After every storm comes a calm. Tragedy struck last week when a portion of the Sea Defense earthen embankment in Danzig, Maikoni collapsed, resulting in the surrounding agricultural lands being inundated by floodwaters.
Two rice farmers in Maikoni spoke about the effects of the floodwaters on their land and also gave their opinions on the intervention by the Ministry of Public Infrastructure.
With the saltwater coming from the sea, got damage up all the land, the salt left on the land for long. They come for us, when we report the matter, they come for us, and send some machine for fill up the canal and so.
They react fast. It was very quick. I was pleased with the work, as you can see from inside Bellany Canal. They're building that to stop what's happening in the water. Salt will come into our rice land further. If you watch back here, is my rice land. Salt did get in, but not as much, because the dam was keeping on the coke was they start blowing the coke and stuff. So I my cattle in the back though, but they seen their way because like I said, the water receding, and since the excavator came, they did a great job.
To get an expert's view on the corrective measures undertaken, a senior technician within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure provided the details.
The remedial works entail where there's a complete failure of the earthen embankment to reconstruct the earthen embankment, place a geotextile fabric.
Measures have also been taken to stop the salt waters from entering the nearby canals that farmers tend to rely on.
The farmers had raised concern of saltwater intrusion into the irrigation system. And what they have requested is to build a cofferdam across the drainage canal, the irrigation canal. The ministry provided a long-boom excavator to construct the cofferdam.
Over in Broomhall, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure would have been making some headway in strengthening some of the sea defenses along the vulnerable stretches.
There were two sections of works completed, temporary in nature. The one here at Broomhall is 85 meters of rock work, and there's another section at Prospect, which is 240 meters.
Reported from the Sea Defense breach in Maikoni with videographer Tage Baldbridge-Mahan, Shaquille Bourne for InfoHub.
In news coming out of the public health sector, we tell you that at least 3 new technologies were piloted in Guyana by Chinese specialists of the 14th Chinese Medical Brigade. The 16-member brigade has just concluded a 1-year stint at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation and the Linden Hospital Complex.
3 technological surgical techniques were introduced by the medical fraternity by the 14th Chinese Medical Brigade. Chairperson of the GPHC, Cassandra Alves, who gave remarks on behalf of the Public Health Minister at a farewell reception for the brigade, outlined these procedures.
The 14th Chinese Medical Brigade has also introduced more than 40 new technologies, among which was the intervention of General Surgeon Dr. Zhang, who used Never Block to treat advanced cancer of the pancreas. Congrats to you, Dr. And Dr. Zhu, orthopedic surgeon, who performed the first posterior tibial plateau fracture surgery using the medial posterior approach. Congrats to you too. And it doesn't stop there. Please stand. Yes, can we see Dr. Zhang? Can we see Dr. Zhang? And Dr. Zhu? And it doesn't end there. We have Dr. Du, who performed the first combined spinal and sciatic nerve block.
These were just some of 40 other technologies which were piloted right here in Guyana, with local surgeons and other medical staff benefiting from the expertise of the Chinese. During the one-year stint, the 14th Chinese Medical Brigade performed 28,600 rounds, attended 16,440 outpatients, administered acupuncture 1,140 times, anesthesia 1,210 times, and conducted 3,920 specialized and general surgeries.
According to the feedback from the head of department with regard to the performance of the 14th Medical Brigade, you were very outstanding in every aspect of your work, and even though there were challenges with language and cultural differences, and sometimes issues with equipment that you may not have been accustomed to, members of the team were able to find common ground and still provide good quality health care to all our patients.
Gratitude was extended to the team for their outstanding effort to bring quality health care to citizens in Guyana. More specifically, the ministry has taken note of the brigade's effort towards youth and adolescent health. The brigade has also played a pivotal role in responding to cases coming from the Guyana Manganese Company in Matthews Ridge earlier this year. As this team leaves, the ministry welcomes the incoming 15th Chinese Medical Brigade.
The health sector also received a further boost as the ministry's Central Supplies Unit, one of the ministry's major accomplishments, was commissioned on Wednesday.
Valued at $539 million, the Central Supplies Unit located in Kingston provides more capacity for the storage of drugs, medical supplies, and other critical equipment used within the public health sector.
I believe that this is the story of the fast-moving bond, is a story of the government in the last 4 years, where even the casual critic would say that it was almost impossible to do so much in such a short time. But it is what has happened over the last 4 years, that we've been looking for an alternative site, and this is a proof, an edifice. This edifice is proof of the determination that we must and we should overcome our challenges.
Public Health Minister Valda Lawrence hailed this project as one of the APNU-AFC coalition government's biggest accomplishments to date. She noted that for some time, the Auditor General's report had outlined various deficiencies regarding the storage of drugs.
Today's commissioning of the Central Supplies Unit is testimony to the Ministry's seriousness, AG, in upholding the law and its firm resolve of fulfilling its mandate to its staff and the people of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana.
Together, these two facilities allow the ministry to store more drugs and medical supplies while efficiently dispatch to health facilities all requests for items. From the Ministry of Public Health's Central Supplies Unit in Kingston, Georgetown, with videographer Leon Leung, I am Delicia Haynes for InfoHub.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education hosted a 2-day workshop geared at enhancing grades 7 to 11 mathematics content delivery for the 21st century classroom.
The meeting, which came on the heels of the closure of the school year, was geared at understanding the various regions' constraints, discussing ongoing projects and other matters which the Honorable Minister Henry believes are pertinent to the effective functioning of the ministry. Citing improved levels of service to the people of Guyana as her driving force, the Honorable Minister explained that preparations for the new school term beginning in September should be done in a timely fashion to ensure that students are given the best possible learning environment.
I would like to get an understanding of where people are in terms of the implementation of their maintenance plans for all of the regions and what will be done during this period.
Speaking about areas for improvement in hinterland education delivery, Chief Education Officer Dr. Marcel Hudson underscored the strides the ministry has made in the last few years to improve students' access to quality education. Results coming out of the recent NGSA showed a remarkable increase in hinterland student performance, with Region 8 being titled the most improved region. In fact, every region had at least one student placed in a top school. This is evidence of the ministry's commitment to bridging the disparities between the two areas. Leticia Isaacs for InfoHub.
The Department of Education today opened its first transition summer camp themed Learning Through Fun. The camp ran for 5 days and concluded on Friday, July 12.
Children who fell behind the 50% benchmark at the NGSA continue to be given the opportunity to improve their performance remarkably. 110 students from transition classes are for the first time participating in a summer camp geared at increasing their educational capacity before being transferred into mainstream classrooms at the grade 7 level. This initiative is piloted by the Department of Education, Georgetown. District Education Officer with responsibility for secondary education in Georgetown, Sherwin Blackman.
We thought that it is necessary to have an activity which will provide a space for us to help, even though in this case a smaller number of our students, but specifically to help this group of students to better be able to transition to the grade 7 come September.
Transition teacher Aklima Pierce explained that the 5-day camp themed Learning Through Fun will help to create holistic students.
This program is so designed to take the students through for 1 year. The subjects taught are mathematics, grammar, comprehension, composition, spelling, reading, vocabulary, phonics, science, social studies, art and craft, physical education, and poetry.
Participants were drawn from 8 city schools: St. George's High, New Camerville Secondary School, Cummins Lodge Secondary School, Houston Secondary School, Lodge Secondary School, Tuckville Secondary School, Queenstown Secondary School, and St. Winifred Secondary. Leticia Isaacs for InfoHub.
Good news for Kurukururu. Farmers in the area known for its eddy production will soon benefit from the Ministry of Public Telecommunication Farmers Market app, which was officially launched a few months ago in Region 6.
This is an app that is going to be on the phones called Farmers Market GY, right? And I think that there are people here that would be interested, cash crop farmers, Edo producers, that would be interested in us and being part of this pilot.
The app will be able to connect farmers and suppliers with potential buyers, not only in Guyana but across the world, as it is accessible from anywhere in the world.
And this is where the young people come in. The young people that are in this community that ain't really interested maybe in going and farming because they're thinking they ain't gonna make no money. But within your family, you must find that one person that will be able to deal with the ordering on the phone.
With the merger of agriculture and technology, it is hoped that this could be a way of bringing young people into the agriculture sector in an interesting way. This is important for Kurukururu residents, as Minister of Agriculture Noel Holder highlighted the potential of the community.
I'd like to see, before our second term is up, large dairy farms in this area. You see grass is growing out there. That grass is not the grass at Castle Lake. But up the road, 40 miles from here, is a place called Moblisa. Moblisa has the grass that can easily grow in this area. They approved it. That could be, and this area could be the basis of a big, large dairy industry.
The idea behind the app is that by seeing what is in demand, farmers will be able to enter into contracts to supply produce, while also being able to display produce that they already have on hand, while being able to barter for the best prices. Reporting for InfoHub, Nikosi Bruce.
This has been InfoHub Recap, which looked at major stories carried between July 8 to 12. Remember to subscribe to our website for more stories and follow us on our social media platforms. Have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Goodbye.